So, people, it seems like some of you like the news updates, so I'm back at it to talk about the good, bad, and sad in Aura Kingdom for this month and coming up. Now, featuring Miss Middy! So, what's the latest scoop? Well, squirreled away in some update notes, they hid the notice that we're expecting the big update to come in July. Now, I'm not sharing any secret intel here, because I don't have any. But as far as anticipated big updates, only the new Nunchuck class comes to mind. Fingers crossed that it comes with the archive fix as well. No promises, of course, but hopefully we're looking at early July. And that's the big thing on the horizon, but let's talk about what else is up. We've finally got some good news for the item mall watchers too. X-Legend has finally started cycling older Eidolons in the cash shop, and they started with the best, Otohime. On one hand, it was in egg form, so no direct sales, but on the other, the prices were lower than I would have anticipated, at only 29 XP. Now, it's true that eggs aren't guaranteed fragments, but especially for an Eidolon like Otohime that is supremely usable by every class and every element, I thought this was a really good price. Even as someone who isn't able to spend money on games right now. Because, well, you know, the world right now. Anyway, she's been cycled out, but we also knew that was coming because the dates of the sale end were all visible right in the store. I would like to note that it is a very accessible price for low spenders, especially if you're looking for something to resale in the market, though it's possibly only viable to buy in advance without a customer lined up on super in-demand Eidolon like Otohime. It may not apply as much if it's a less all-round masterful Eidolon. We will have to watch which ones they cycle in, and if you're a very low spender, looking for opportunities to make some tidy G, I would recommend keeping an eye out for those egg sales and watching what they're selling for. Continuing on the topic of Eidolon sales, next up, the newest one, Mr. Cool Dude Aladdin, was placed in the store for direct sale rather than in Paragon. The price is very high though, at 19,999 XP. I was never in a place to do any direct purchases of Eidolon keys back in the GameGo days either, but my sources who could report that this is higher than some comparable releases from that era. I will be working on a short review for him, soon hopefully, but he is an excellent on-field DPS Eidolon for Lightning if for some reason you don't want to use Tier. But why wouldn't you want to use Tier? Anyway, as compared to the less viable Eidolons that we've seen recently, so maybe that's why we're seeing a change up in the release plan. His eggs were also put up in the store, albeit for a higher price than Otohime at 149 XP. Now, again, let's compare that to the old GameGo Lucky Packs. The Lucky Packs GameGo released cost even more at the cheapest option on fresh Eidolons, but your consolation prizes were better. RC or LP, for example. The benefit of eggs is, of course, that they are tradable and sellable, and you get vouchers from opening them. If you have a strong opinion about this, leave a comment to let me know which you prefer. Reselling eggs is big for keeping gold moving around the game, but I can see why people buying for themselves would prefer the RC and LP consolation prizes. But back to the direct sales, sadly, despite a vocal number of players asking for direct sales, this doesn't seem to be what some of them had in mind. It was also disappointing for players who were anticipating Aladdin's release on Paragon. I think chances are good we will see him on Paragon soon, and I would save my weekly RC if I wasn't such a sucker for a good gamble. Anyway, if you're considering making a purchase, keep your eye on the dates to make sure it lines up with the XP buying tiers events to get the most out of it. Now let's cover the unequivocally good news. First off, the trends are now properly archivable. For us crazy people with multiple characters we're working on, we can finally archive the costumes to activate them without transferring stuff around characters. Plus, the old trends are starting to cycle as well, and often the items are available in the LP store. Just watch out, the gold mounts in the LP store are not the ones that will activate the trends. I made that mistake. The third Bond dungeon was also fixed. I put together a guide for it, so check it out if you like. It's pretty fast and a lot less tricky than the second one. You can enter it at the same dungeon entrance as Titan's Root. Oath Rings on Paragon again! Lots of players were concerned about the supply, so hopefully that will help. Sadly, we do have Emerald Shards as well, but at least they confirmed those will be going away next week. Hopefully the rings stay. Next, some bad news. Though the patch notes have been wrong about this before, we're likely going to be losing some Nightmare dungeons. If you're not familiar with them, it's because they're the high difficulty endgame dungeons that require endgame levels of pen and detail damage. They don't offer experience or conventional item drops, but this also means that you won't be able to farm up emblems for much longer. It's unclear from the notes whether this is about one specific Nightmare dungeon or all of them, but if you're close to a title or exchange, you might want to consider finishing it off quickly. They also note that the ties that bind instance will also be closed, and if I'm honest, I have no idea what that is. It could be a bad translation of one of the bond dungeons. I'll keep an eye out for instances that close and update with a comment when we know. And finally, the Guildhall Eidolon Summon quest will also be removed soon. These were originally meant to be temporary, but even in Gamego times, they somewhat forgot about them at times. I remember asking the CMs whether there was an ETA for them to be removed, only to hear back, wait, they're still there? For my future plans, my overtime hell continues. I barely have time for anything. As I've mentioned before, I work 12 hours and I'm up to 5 days a week at 12 hours, so as you can imagine, I don't do much aside from sleep outside of work on those days. I did do a test stream with Miss Middy last week, open to the AK Discord members, and since then I've picked up some missing stuff that I needed for my stream setup, like physical stuff that I ordered in. Hopefully once I'm out of hell, I can have a proper stream schedule, but until then, I may hold another AK Discord member only unlisted stream. If you're interested, keep an eye out for the links in the English chat. It will be on Mondays or Tuesdays, which are my only days off. And on top of that, there was a certain other JRPG that came out this week that I'm going to need to take some time for, and well, I mean, there's a comic that comes to mind. But that's where we're at for now. Thanks for tuning in for our little situation update with me, Miss Middy, about the game situation. If you're interested in some quick guides, new Eidolon reviews, and future news updates, please consider subscribing. As a side bonus, if I make it to 1,000 subs, my best friend will buy me a big old plate of Korean-style fried chicken. And I've already picked a restaurant, so it would be really cool if that could happen soon. Well, not that it will. Anyway, that's all for today, so thanks for watching, and catch you next time.